AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Raising Cane studio.
Let's ride!
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
You're a loser, Matt.
Shut up, kid. Cassie Spazelli.
Look what you made me do. Look what you made me do.
You so.
I'm a Barbie girl in the Barbie world.
And Mr. Vincent Vega. Toby Thompson. Yeah, right there. So. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. God, what a jam-packed weekend this was, and we got all of it to talk about over the next 3 hours. Let us begin as we do every single day.
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
It's one of those days where you just don't know where to start. With LSU football players taking a trip to Dallas, Jalen Polk retiring, Logan Schmidt deciding he's coming to campus. We got Saints camp report. We got so much. So let's just start at the beginning and go back to what happened Friday. Actually, what happened Thursday. Well, Friday night, I think, is when the world learned that a group of LSU football players hopped on a PJ and went to Dallas. They went to the Throw It Deep Academy over there. And we learned that because some of those guys started posting on social media. Many of you probably noticed as well, on the photo of the flight, right? The guys in front of the plane, on the ground was a mat. Like, you know, the door folds down into the stairs, and you come down the stairs, and there's like a rug right there, a mat. And it says G Air. Like the big Gordon logo, G. I'm like, well, I recognize that logo. So I made a few phone calls. Sure enough, 7 of the 9 players that went on that trip are G-Team members. They're Gordon NIL partners. The 2 that were not are tight end Malachi Thomas and Malik Elzy, the receiver transfer from Illinois. Those 2 were not. The other 7, it was Landon Clark, of course, obviously Sam Leavitt, Landon Clark, Trey'Dez Green, Jace Brown, Winnie Watkins, Trey Wilson, and Jackson Harris. Those are the others that went. So 9 players went. I loved this. I loved that they went and did this because one of my real big questions about, really my single biggest question about this LSU football team is Sam Leavitt. And it's not that I question Sam Leavitt, I question, is Sam Leavitt ready to go because of the time he missed? Coming off a Liz Frank injury, not having spring. So the very real question of missing all of those reps, like, can you develop timing and synergy and leadership and all of that sort of stuff? And when you play sort of like ear to ground around the program, I think there's some people who internally who have those questions as well. Again, not about what Sam Leavitt's ceiling is. We've seen what Sam Leavitt's ceiling is. I mean, as a second-year college football player in his first year in Arizona State, he led them to the college football playoff. And he did so in an offense where he didn't have to do everything because Cam Skattebo ran for 1,700 yards that season. So we know what it can look like. It's just coming off of Liz Frank, not having spring. How do you make up time? Remember Lane Kiffin said when we were at SEC Media Days that the reason they didn't bring Leavitt was because he was leading the player-led workouts. Now, I do not think that's why they didn't bring Leavitt to Media Days. I do believe, however, he's been leading the player-led workouts. That's very important. But then also, I was told this trip was to get some extra work in right before camp, but also to to have like a team bonding opportunity. I also think it is significant who went. The fact that in an offense where everybody's new, you lost all of your scholarship quarterbacks from last year and you returned one receiver. And we looked at spring and we're like, okay, who's emerging? You brought in 9 transfer receivers. The only receiver returning was Phillip Wright. But you bring in all of this new. Well, who's emerging? Well, as I look back through my notes from spring, some guys consistently stood out. Like Jace Brown was the highest ranked guy they added via the portal. Jackson Harris was the first receiver. The first player they added via the portal when he came in from Hawaii. Very clear. We talked about him last week. Remember, he's on the PFF list. He's the top graded receiver from PFF a year ago to play in the SEC this season. So you can sort of see Lane Kiffin piecing those things together. Trey Wilson, former 5-star, coming in from Florida. He is very twitchy. Like, he just has a different gear than everybody else. I don't think Malik Elzy coming in from Illinois was anyone we thought would pop, but he just kept showing up in spring. Like, it was just very obvious. Early in camp, he was on the other field with the 2s and the 3s, and as spring went along, he started to run in that 11-11 drill with the 1s and getting more reps there because he's a big-bodied dude who would go over the middle and make contested catches. It gave you a different look stylistically from the other receivers because he's a big-bodied guy. And then, of course, there's Winnie Watkins, where basically every receiver in this offense was just swimming in spring trying to figure out the offense. Winnie Watkins looked like he was just hanging out on one of those little lounge decks in the pool because he knows everything. It was like every time they had it's 3rd and 4. What do they do? Winnie Watkins, 5-yard out, complete, move the chains. It was just, he was always in the right place. He knew where to be because he knows the offense and how to function within it. So I didn't think it was a surprise, but I did think it was telling that those were the guys that went on this trip. And I think that's a great thing because you can start to recognize, I think one of the most important things about spring is this is just an opinion. Talking to a lot of guys over the years, even asked Whit Weeks at media days, like, do you need spring? He's like, not really. But one of the things that I think over the years of talking to these guys and watching that's most valuable about spring is spring sets the pole position for fall camp. Like, whenever you're going to have position battles, spring kind of allows you to know where you're starting from in fall so you're not starting from zero. And so I think it's fair to look at what you learned over those 15 spring practices to go, okay, this is how it's going to start in fall. Now, back to the point about Leavitt, it's interesting because on the first draft podcast today, this was Kuiper and Field Yates, they started talking about Sam Leavitt. One of the questions was about Leavitt. And I thought it was so interesting because this is the perspective of a draft analyst thinking about Leavitt. So remember the context. This is Field Yates talking about Leavitt as a draft prospect. So keep that in mind as you hear this.
The stock is down right now here, Mel. You got to dig deeper here on a guy like Sam Leavitt, who 2 years ago was electric. He was outstanding. Again, go to that, what I just talked about with the comps. I'm not looking for low percentile outcomes. I'm looking for high percentile outcomes. There was some Bo Nix to him. He can really make something out of nothing. He can throw from all different platforms. He's a very good functional athlete as well. I'll say this here, Mel. It's going to be a projection still because the offense is not very much like an NFL offense. But Sam Leavitt's going to put up some serious video game numbers this year at LSU. His size is just okay. He's a good athlete. So maybe there's still going to be some questions he has to answer. But I think Sam Leavitt is due for a huge bounce back year.
So I love that because he's saying, the size is just okay. He's a good athlete. All the other stuff. It's a projection coming off but he's talking about the draft. I don't care about the draft. Like, draft will come whenever. What I care about is Sam Leavitt being awesome at LSU. And Field Yates said he is going to put up video game numbers. Compared him actually to Bo Nix. And remember, Bo Nix had some good and bad at Auburn, goes to Oregon, and ends up being a Heisman Trophy finalist alongside Jaden Daniels. So you tell me that's what you're getting? I love it. And the other thing, too, specifically with Leavitt in this offense, look at how first-year quarterbacks in Lane Kiffin's offense have fared. Let's look at his last 3 stops. Bama, FAU, Ole Miss. Lane's first year at Bama was 2014 as the OC. He goes into Bama in 2014 as the OC. He's got Blake Sims, who is a converted quarterback, by the way. Sims throws for 3,487 yards, 28 touchdowns, 10 picks. He runs for 350 and another 7 touchdowns. Again, Blake Sims, a converted quarterback, first year in Kiffin's offense, throws for 3,528 tuds. 2017, first year at FAU. He inherits Jason Driscoll. Driscoll throws for 2,200 yards, not an eye-popping number. They won 11 games, by the way. Throws for 2,200, 15 touchdowns, just 4 picks. But also Driscoll ran for 427 and 8 touchdowns. But that was the season where Devin Singletary went off. Their running back had 1,920 yards and 32 touchdowns. So you had a quarterback throw for 2,200 yards and 15 scores, run for another 400, and a running back who was 80 yards shy of 2,000. They won 11 games, by the way. And then the first year at Ole Miss was the COVID year with Matt Corral. And in just 10 games, Corral threw for 33-37, 29 touchdowns. He did have 14 picks. Ran for 506 and another 4 touchdowns in 10 games. So basically, if you extrapolate those averages and play a full season, Corral would have been a 4,000-yard passer in his first year with Kiffin. My point is, as much as we talk about the transition, new offense, terminology, all that stuff, that matters. I'm not saying that doesn't matter. I have a sample size that say each of the last 3 places Kiffin's been, the first year, it don't matter who the quarterback is, what his skill set is, what they have made the offense go. It doesn't matter if it's a converted quarterback, a guy that's more of a runner and you lean heavily on your rushing game, or a guy that can really spin it and throw for 3,300 yards in just 10 games. Kiffin said last week they fit their personnel, they fit their offense to the personnel. Sometimes it's Derrick Henry, who's a 2,000-yard rusher. Sometimes it's Devin Singletary, who's a 1,900-yard rusher. And sometimes it's Matt Corral or Blake Sims. It's going to be fascinating to see. But it's going to revolve the universe. It will all the planets will orbit around Sam Leavitt. And whatever that means for him as a draft prospect, like Field Yates was saying, I don't really care. What I do care about is the video game numbers that Field Yates is talking about. Because if that follows, then yeah, this could be a really special offense, complementing a defense that probably be the strongest that we've seen since Dave Aranda left. All right, it's After Further Review. We're glad to have you hanging out with us here. Monday edition of AFR presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, shutters, and shades. Relief Windows and reliefwindows.com. By the way, show open every day is brought to you by Bud Light. Drink easy with the great taste of Bud Light, the official beer of AFR, the official beer of the Tigers, the official beer of the New Orleans Saints. Yo, we got football on Thursday. Are you kidding me? We got football on Thursday. Hall of Fame game. Drink easy with the great taste of Bud Light. We've made it through the wilderness. Football is upon us. Drink easy with the great taste of Bud Light, the official beer of AFR. All right, quick break, y'all. Let me knock out. It's stunning that we're right here in the middle of Saints camp. We got football on Thursday. LSU reports for fall camp on Tuesday. They hit the practice field Wednesday. And I have to shoehorn a baseball story in here because what Jay Johnson just pulled off is freaking stunning. We're going to talk about it next on AFR.
AFR.
Love telling you about Duplessis Builders, DuplessisPools.com, DuplessisPools.com, DuplessisPools.com. My buddy Derek Duplessis and his staff, they do an awesome job. Remember, if you've ever dreamed of putting in a pool, having your own outdoor oasis, your own backyard paradise, you want Duplessis Pools because they're the best. Not my opinion. Pool and Spa Magazine, now back-to-back years, has named Duplessis Pools a top 50 pool builder in America, and they are the only pool builder in Louisiana to earn that recognition. DuplessisPools.com, DuplessisPools.com. Y'all, building a pool is invasive. I mean, you got heavy machinery, you got crews, it's a couple-month-long project. They're digging a big hole in your yard. It's messy. You want a company that's going to respect you and your family and your property and your privacy and do a great job efficiently, effectively, and build you something that will last. That's Duplessis Pools. DuplessisPools.com, DuplessisPools.com. Start designing your pool at the website today, DuplessisPools.com, DuplessisPools.com.
After Further Review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and oh, we do shutters too.
Thanks for hanging out with us here. Great day. Paulie's off this week. Cassie's in on the video producing board there. Muse is here. Glad you are as well. Otter's back. Otter is back from Del Mar.
The grand return.
We will get some Otter locks in tonight. Any idea how he did?
At Del Mar, no. But look, we can ask him when he's here.
Where the surf meets the turf.
I mean, I can tell you, look, he had a great time. I know that.
Well, how could you not?
Exactly.
How could you not? We had Lance Moore here last week talking about how he lives 15 minutes from Del Mar. Got to ask the Otter if he connected with old Lance Moore, old number 16 at any point. If not, maybe got to connect those guys next year when Otter's out there.
Otter and Lance Moore just betting the ponies together.
It's a match made in heaven. All right, it's after further review. Thanks for hanging out with us here. LSU reports for fall camp. By the way, tonight at 6 p.m. is the meeting at the governor's mansion with the top 40 donors. With the governor, the president, President Wade Roos, and the top donors. LSU reports for fall camp tomorrow. They hit the practice field on Wednesday. The Saints practice today in full pads. Jalen Polk retired over the weekend, suddenly and stunningly. And I'm going to do a baseball segment, which should speak to just how improbable this is. Now, we've talked about Logan Schmidt for a while. And if you're not familiar, the very abbreviated Cliff's Notes, he was the number one signee in LSU's most recent class. Lefty out of California, touches 98. 17 years old, okay? We just made 18. But he reclassed. So he should be going into his senior year of high school, but he graduated a year early. So you're talking about a dude that's 6'4", and as a 17-year-old lefty, his average fastball was 94.5 miles an hour, and he was touching 98. He reclassed to graduate early, never had any intention whatsoever of playing college baseball. You have to understand this. Like, nobody at LSU, nobody in Major League Baseball, nobody thought this kid was coming to campus. Nobody. 17-year-olds that throw 98 from the left side don't go to school. They don't. It's not a thing that happens. And Cleveland screwed it up.
Cleveland!
And I'm so glad that Cleveland, in its existence, is a dumpster fire of a place, because Cleveland screwing this up opened the door ever so slightly for Jay Johnson to come in and kick it wide open. That's exactly what he did. Cleveland drafted Schmidt blind. They drafted him without a deal in place. The max they could offer was $1.7 million. They took a risk, assuming that this kid who did not want to go to school would take what they could offer, and he didn't. And so he had two options. Go JUCO and be back in school or back in the draft next summer. Just delay your signing bonus a year. Or go to school at LSU, but if you do that, you're locked in for 3 years. And Jay Johnson, and I'll tell you, before the draft, if you would have asked me, hey, what's the percent odds that Logan Schmidt plays college baseball? I would have been like 0.000000001%. Like, it wasn't happening. He was not, like, this LSU, the staff, they knew it. Everyone knew he was not coming to school. And then the draft unfolded. And even after that, I think we said after the draft, or after when the deadline to sign last week passed, I said, okay, like maybe a 20% chance. Still overwhelmingly that a kid who 3 weeks ago had no intention of ever stepping foot on a college campus, now you're going to tell him he's got to spend 3 years? Like, it's just not something that felt very likely. But Jay Johnson, there's a reason he is the greatest recruiter and evaluator and compilator of talent in the game today. This is a guy that who remind you, he got Chris Bryant to San Diego. Like, they put together a comprehensive plan. Jay got on a plane after Derek Curiel's signing ceremony in Pittsburgh, flew to California, and as I understand it, their goal was to try to get Schmidt to come visit. Like, they wanted him just to come to campus to see. They had until the semester starts. Semester doesn't start until like August 24th. You have like 3 more weeks. Schmidt's like, no, I'm good. I'm there. Didn't even visit. And what they did, man, how they put this together, as I understand it, was so impressive. Naturally, they were going to use the comps of Cade Anderson and Anthony Ianson and Gage Jump, how they've developed those guys. They got these elite talents here, how they developed them, using all the technology, the pitch man, the track man, all the stuff that they have to track every pitch of every bullpen in every game and show them what's working, what doesn't, how to tweak whatever. It's all the things that guys like Paul Skeens and everybody have talked about, but it's how you develop an elite-level arm talent into an elite-level pitcher and prospect to become a top draft pick on the fast track to Major League Baseball. And they have the examples. And so they laid out the example of what Gage Jump was when he showed up, what he was when he left, and why he's in the majors now. What Cade Anderson was when he was coming off of TJ in high school, when he showed up, how they developed him over 2 years, made him the third pick of the draft, and now is fast track toward Major League Baseball. And the other thing, too, talking to people within the program, like they believe in we're talking to Joe Doyle in a little bit as well, that as of now, like at this point in their respective lives, Logan Schmidt is a better physical talent at this point than Cade Anderson was at the same point in his development, like just turning 18 years old. So think about that. You already have this elite level physical ability that now you need to match with growth and development. And it is going to be so fun to watch. Now, there's two other components. One is the money, which I know everybody's going to ask about and wonder how that all comes together. My understanding, and I was not given a hard number. If I did, I would tell you, or if I was comfortable telling you, I was not. Because I asked a question point blank, let's just say of people who would know. So he passed on 1.7 with Cleveland. Did he get that from LSU? And I was told close. So I don't know the exact number, but over 3 years at LSU, the compensation package they put together would put him close to what he passed on with Cleveland. Okay? Like, even if you just assume if he passed on what, like, again, I'm being transparent. I do not know the number. But let's say it's $500 per year over 3 years. That puts you at 1.5. So it's a very nice lick over those 3 years, but there's still a lot of risk involved, right? But you get whatever that number is over 3 years guaranteed to you. You'll have the opportunity, if you become a star, to make true NIL on top of that. That's one of the things about Tommy White. When Tommy White got no money to come here from NC State. Like, he didn't get a bag when he showed up. But when he showed up and became a star, he became super marketable and made a lot of money while he was here. Same with Skeens. But Skeens was 1 year, Tommy White was 2. So my point is, like, he'll have the opportunity to make more on top of that and then get the signing bonus in 2029 if he develops the way they're tracking and projecting him to do, and then fast track to Major League Baseball like we're seeing right now with Cade Anderson. That's the pitch. Now, what does it mean for LSU on the field in 2027, 28, 29, et cetera? Well, ideally, and Jay Johnson's talked about this all offseason, ideally, Kason Evans, William Schmidt take the big step in year 3, and they become your 1-2 punch. And so then what you're looking for is, okay, who's your Sunday guy and who's your midweek guy? And you got a whole lot of options, right? Cooper Moore is back. Obviously, Logan Schmidt coming in will be vying for one of those roles. You brought in Landon Hood from Gonzaga, who could be your number 3. He could be your closer. He could be Kason Evans from the championship team 2 years ago. The guy that you give the ball to in the 8th and say, go get me 6 outs. And it's curtains. And then guys like Reagan Ricken and Cooper Williams, who had the opportunity, maybe if they develop, would have the opportunity there as well. You know, Colby Stringer is someone we're very high on, who might be a guy who can give you long relief, but could battle for one of those jobs if he comes in and makes an instant impact. They love Lucas Naraki as well from the left side, but probably a lefty reliever early. But you can look to that role in 2027 and say, okay, at like ceiling 2027 could be maybe the number 3 starter. But 28, when Evans and William Schmidt are gone, now you're talking about a guy like Cade Anderson in his sophomore year. You're like, here's the ball on Friday night, go. That's the ambition. And for 2 years, he's your Friday night guy, like Aaron Nola was. And I get it. I get everyone who says, I got to see it first against SEC hitting. I'm with you. I understand. I fully understand your perspective, why you would take that point of view. What I'm telling you is, you're talking about a guy with the physical ability from the left side, unlike has shown up on campus. I get Cam Johnson a few years ago showed up and he was a high prospect and he couldn't throw a strike. Cam Johnson had arm talent. He was not a refined pitcher. You're talking about a guy who already is light years ahead of those guys, who has already got a 3-pitch mix that they feel like they're comfortable calling in any count. When you're a strike thrower with that ability, and now you match development on a 6'4" frame of a guy who just turned 18, you're talking about the possibility ceiling. You're talking about David Price as a ceiling. A left-handed pitcher shows up on campus for 3 years. So, look, I wouldn't be, if it wasn't that big of a deal, we wouldn't be spending the second segment on a Monday in August when the Saints are in camp and LSU reports tomorrow. We wouldn't be talking about baseball on the first Monday in August. It's why, and it illustrates why and how this is so significant, not just for this year, but over the next 3 years of the program, to have a guy like Logan Schmidt showing up on campus. It's just stunning. I mean, Jay Johnson pulled off one of the biggest upsets you could possibly imagine. All right, it's After Further Review. We're brought to you by Our Lady of the Lake, championship health partner of LSU Athletics. I have a sneaking suspicion that maybe Logan Schmidt might end up as one of the Our Lady of the Lake NIL athletes. See when he shows up on campus. But the bottom line is, yes, Our Lady of the Lake is an incredible relationship with LSU and LSU Athletics as the official championship healthcare partner of LSU Athletics. They take care of the LSU athletes that we cheer for on Saturday nights, but they also take care of everyday champions like you and me. I've told you, my own personal physician, Dr. Curtis Chastain at the Our Lady of the Lake Men's Health Group, Drew C. Specialist at the Our Lady of the Lake Children's Hospital. They just cut the ribbon on the world-class Our Lady of the Lake Cancer Institute. If it's cancer, or stroke, or heart health, or pediatrics, or whatever, you can get world-class care at home thanks to the lake. OLOL. Well, let me give you the FMOL. FMOLhealth.org/LSU. That's where you can go to the website to learn more about the Championship Health Partnership. FMOLhealth.org/LSU. Our Lady of the Lake and LSU, together we roar. All right, y'all, it's After Further Review. Let me knock out a quick break. Turns out Taysom Hill might be headed for Denver. Also, water is wet. The sky is blue. We'll talk about that in 15 minutes. When we come back, go around the SEC, and I'll catch you up on what ended up being kind of a wacky weekend after we left you on Friday for the future of the Protect College Sports Act and the whole 5 for 5 ruling. A lot to get to. We'll sort through all the mess next on AFR.
AFR.
Man, the humidity's down a smidge, which is really nice, but still 93 degrees outside right now. Got an issue with your AC? Call River City's 1 Hour Air. 752-0001, 752-0001, 752-0001, or 1hourbr.com. Spell it out, O-N-E, 1hourbr.com. Just look for the big yellow vans and trucks with the giant clock on the side. They help your friends and neighbors like they have for the last 40 years. And remember, you can trust River City's 1 Hour Air. When a technician's coming to your house, there's 2 things I want to remind you of. Number 1, when the technician's on the way, you'll get a call, a text, and an email alerting you the technician's on the way. You will get the name, photo, and reviews of that technician, so you know exactly who's coming to your house. And they're always going to give you a good, better, and best option, and you decide what's best for your budget. It's River City's 1 Hour Air, 752-0001, 752-0001, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. Better coverage for less money. It's Insurance Network of Louisiana. Hey, listen, yes, homeowners insurance, auto insurance, flood, boat, RV, all that stuff, they can help you there. But also your business insurance, commercial auto, workers' comp. Listen, if you're a business owner, and I know many of you are, like, we all try to figure out ways to increase revenue, reduce expenses, to improve the bottom line. Well, one of your recurring monthly expenses is your insurance coverage. What if you're overpaying? What if every month in perpetuity you could save money on your insurance? Sounds pretty good. Insurance Network of Louisiana. They shop independently for free dozens of the top-rated companies in the world to find you better coverage for less money. 293-0450, 293-0450, 293-0450.
After Further Review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. And oh, we do shutters too.
Well, on Friday, it looked like the Protect College Sports Act was dead when we left. The self-imposed sort of deadline by members of Congress for a vote came and went on Thursday and into Friday. And then Friday evening, very suddenly and abruptly, the Big Ten and the SEC put out a joint statement announcing that they are supporting the Protect College Sports Act in its current form. Now, Ross Dellinger, who's been all over the story, did a great job. Apparently, the president was nearing a point where he was going to take action publicly, which I think we'd all assume meant he would have gone on social media and would have been admonished the SEC and the Big Ten publicly, because they were the ones, college sports have been asking forever for Congress to get involved. Congress finally gets involved. They draft this legislation, and then the SEC and the Big Ten are like, nah, we don't like it. So whatever was done there on Friday to get the SEC and the Big Ten on board, it's fantastic news. Now, what remains to be seen, a couple of things that matter. Number one, it hasn't passed. This isn't a law yet. So it has to come to the Senate, the full Senate, for a vote. And then if it passes the Senate, it would have to go to the House. I think many of us understand how the legislative process works. It would have to pass the Senate, then pass the House, and then go to the president's desk for a signature, and then it would be signed into law. So, and again, I know nothing about Congress and what they're talking about up there and all this stuff. But again, referencing Ross's piece, apparently this week there's a lot that needs to be done that has with our government that has nothing to do with college sports. Go figure. So it's not a foregone conclusion that the Protect College Sports Act will go before the full Senate for a vote this week. And they're up against it before they adjourn, and it's months until they reconvene. And so it wouldn't be here during the fall that this would come up for a vote. So if you're trying to get this all into effect for next season, obviously you need to move a little swiftly. For next football season, obviously. And you go into the portal cycle in January, you get it. So it affects eligibility and payments and all that sort of stuff. So they're under a little bit of a deadline, but it feels like now it can move forward. And you say, well, why does Congress need the SEC or the Big Ten support? Well, the senators from those states likely wouldn't vote against their constituents' wishes. So it's effectively, I believe it's 23 of the states are represented. I think I saw this last week. 23 of the states are represented by the SEC and Big Ten schools. So it would give them enough votes to pass the Protect College Sports Act if all of the senators in those states represented from the SEC and the Big Ten vote for it, in addition to the ones that were already in favor, right? So that presumably is a good thing, right? That the Protect College Sports Act looks like it can move forward now. There's a big question as to whether or not there would still be loopholes for third-party payments, true NIL, all that sort of stuff. Senator Cruz tweeted on Friday that it would be a hard cap. The loophole is closed. It would be about $48 million for football rosters, and that's it. Like there was no going over that number. Remains to be seen. I'm a little skeptical. Then again, I have not read the whole bill. I am not a legal analyst or a congressional analyst or any of that sort of stuff, but I'll be interested when all of this does reach its conclusion, what it says about that. So that's one thing that's interesting. The other is there was a judge in Colorado on Friday who granted an injunction for players who were just seniors in this most recent fiscal year, right? The 2025-2026 school year, so the ones that just graduated. For example, like a guy like Chris Stanfield in baseball. But if you just finished your eligibility, basically what she ruled is that all those players who just finished their eligibility, they have an injunction where they have another year of eligibility. The problem for them is, and a lot of players then would assume we're going to the portal and might try to play, as she issued a clarification, any play, all the other NCAA rules stand up. So any player in any sport who has signed a professional contract, you are out of eligibility. You forfeit your eligibility. So it sucks for some of those guys that maybe were undrafted free agents and are in a NFL, NFL camp right now as a UDFA trying to make a team where they would have had way more value in college, but such is life. So I did ask, by the way, around LSU today, if any players in any sports are eligible or considering coming back under this injunction. That's still very much to be determined. There were none as of this morning when I inquired. But again, I think because it happened over the weekend, there's still a lot of, it was probably today when a lot of that work would start to get done, looking through and combing through rosters and are there roster spots available and money available and all the everything associated therein. So keep an eye on that. But as of now, nothing really significant as far as players who just finished their eligibility coming back to LSU for this coming season. If that changes, we'll certainly talk about it. All right, it's After Further Review. We're brought to you by First South Farm Credit. FirstSouthFarmCredit.com, FirstSouthFarmCredit.com. If you're thinking of buying land, your first call should be to First South Farm Credit. Again, they've been helping Louisianians buy land since 1916. It's First South Farm Credit. Hey, go to the website, FirstSouthFarmCredit.com, FirstSouthFarmCredit.com. Right there on the homepage of the website, they have the ultimate recreational land buyer's guide. So if you're thinking of buying land, be it hunting property, your recreational property, 50 acres to build your family's dream home, maybe 1,000 acres for agriculture. And if you're just starting out, they have a great free resource right there on the homepage at FirstSouthFarmCredit.com, FirstSouthFarmCredit.com. If you're thinking of buying land, your first call should be to First South Farm Credit. FirstSouthFarmCredit.com, FirstSouthFarmCredit.com. Okay, we do it every day about this time. Let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, bringing you the biggest news from the nation's best conference. The Texas Longhorns.
Steve Sarkisian landed the nation's number 3 running back over the weekend. 4-star Landon Williams-Callis picked the Longhorns for the 2027 class, 5'8", 185. He's out of Texas. He picked the Horns over Missouri, and Texas A&M, Houston, SMU were also in the mix.
The Arkansas Razorbacks.
Former Georgia track star Maurice Gleaton is headed to join Ryan Silverfield and the Arkansas Razorbacks for football. So he's a wide receiver. We'll join him ahead of fall camp. Actually visited Arkansas back in November of 2024, but went to Georgia officially as exclusively as a track star. So played football in high school, limited. 5'10 freshman entered the transfer portal in June. Visited the Razorbacks for track, but apparently while he was there, had a conversation with Silverfield, and now he'll join the Hogs this fall.
The Georgia Bulldogs.
Safety Seth Williams has committed to home state Georgia over Clemson. He had been committed to Dabo Swinney and the Tigers for a few weeks earlier this year before decommitting, and now is committed to Georgia. 4-star out of the Atlanta area. He's the 35th best safety in the country, the 42nd player in the state of Georgia. 6'2", 185. He's the 20th commit for Georgia's 2027 class.
The Kentucky Wildcats.
And Will Stein has talked about the possibility of Alex Afari rejoining Kentucky for a 5th season. This is interesting. So that's a former Wildcat star who participated in Packers minicamp this offseason but did not sign an NFL deal. So he's exploring the possibility of returning to Kentucky, something that Stein did not rule out when he met with media on Monday. So Afari had 193 tackles, 26.5 TFLs during his 4 seasons at Kentucky and could very well be rejoining the Wildcats. Okay, there you have it. That is Around the SEC. Monday shows are presented by Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Windows, doors, siding, shutters, and shades. Relief Windows, official window partner of LSU Athletics. That's an interesting story about the Kentucky player because remember, the important designation there is that he had not signed a pro contract. That is the verbiage in the NCAA bylaws. You cannot sign a pro contract. It doesn't matter that he went to minicamp. We talk about this with the basketball guys as well. Like if you sign a contract, including a 2-way deal, you're ineligible. That's the whole thing with RJ Lewis that we keep talking about. So it will be fascinating to see which players start to surface that with this injunction that was signed over the weekend by the judge in Colorado have the opportunity to return and which actually take advantage of it. All right, it's After Further Review. Let me knock out our final break of hour number 1. Taysom Hill. Could Taysom Hill be joining Sean Payton in Denver? Sean Payton answered that question today. You'll hear it next at AFR.
After Further Review.
We're brought to you by the Watermark and the Renaissance. Watermark Downtown Renaissance Southdown. 2 amazing hotel properties. Of course, Watermark Baton Rouge is the premier hotel property in Baton Rouge. Renaissance, right there on Bluebonnet, is where the Tigers stay on the Friday night before home football games. Gorgeous, beautiful, palatial, sprawling hotel on Bluebonnet. giant, spacious guest rooms. Every Renaissance guest room is designed uniquely to the market it's in. You'll love it. They have like the Cajun dictionary wallpaper in the guest rooms. If you just got to book a night at Renaissance Baton Rouge to go see for yourself. Maybe you have friends or clients or family coming in town for football games this year. Make sure, act now, y'all. Get your rooms now because they're going to fill up at Renaissance Baton Rouge for the home football games or for any occasion. And, of course, they can host your event for any occasion. Call my friend Allison Crump over at Renaissance Baton Rouge. If you have an event coming up, you need to host it, let her explain how they can make it happen. Right there on Bluebonnet. It's Renaissance Baton Rouge.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. And we do shutters too.
Saints are back on the practice field, day 5 of camp. Ross Jackson will be here at the top of hour 3, a little more than an hour from right now to give a Saints camp report from today. And then in about a dozen minutes after we get to the Sports Center and everything, I do want to react fully to the Jalen Polk news. Former second-round pick suddenly retired from the NFL at 24 years old on Sunday. Kellen Moore did react to that when he met with reporters after practice here on Monday. So we'll let you hear from Kellen Moore. I'll react to that when I have time, coming again in about 12 minutes from right now. Not the only significant announcement of a player not being back with New Orleans. We learned last week, of course, Taysom Hill will not be back in New Orleans. That, I don't think, was a surprise to anyone. Really, if you heard Taysom after the final home game against the Jets last season, it was very obvious how emotional he became. That was it. That was it going to be it for Taysom in New Orleans. I think we all knew that was a foregone conclusion. So, too, seemingly was a foregone conclusion that the only place that would be interested in a 35-year-old Taysom Hill, who had a very unproductive season a year ago after coming off a knee injury that cut his 24 season in half, of course, would be the man who basically birthed Taysom Hill's career, and that would be Sean Payton in Denver. And Sean Payton, in training camp with the Broncos here on Monday, was asked about Taysom Hill and the possibility of him joining up and joining forces there in the Mile High City.
There's no hurry right now. I'm going to see him here in 5 days, so we'll see where he's at. And the key thing is his health and where he's at mentally. You know, I don't want to assume that he still wants to play. You know, I haven't had a chance to talk with him. Our doctor here, Kareem, is the one who did his surgery, and he's actually had a bunch of follow-up. I mean, he's come to Denver for 2 or 3 follow-ups, so we'll see where that goes.
Remember, Taysom is from out west. We know he played at BYU and has that sort of history there out west. But I think a couple of things are true here. First of all, Sean said he'll see him in 5 days. Sean Payton is presenting Drew Brees for the Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame ceremony is Saturday. Sean's presenting Drew Brees, and so Taysom will be there in Canton for the ceremony, which is awesome. Love that. But I also, you can look at the whole, like we always say, actions speak louder than words. If Taysom Hill wanted to retire, he would be retired. Does that make sense? Like, we all knew at the end of last season he wasn't going to be back in New Orleans. Taysom knew it. He was emotional in his post-game presser after the last home game against the Jets. They didn't re-sign him at any point. Like, everyone has known this was an inevitability. Taysom was not going to be back. If he wanted to retire, he would have retired after last season. The fact that he hasn't retired, he's left the door open to playing again because presumably he still wants to play. Okay. But there's really only one situation where that makes sense, which is why last week, whenever we finally got word that Taysom was not going to be back in New Orleans and he announced his farewell to the city and to the organization, everybody all was like, okay, well, the most obvious thing here is that he's going to play in Denver. I mean, if we're being honest, a little like Letterman-style top 10, few things are less surprising than Taysom Hill being interested in Denver. I mean, Ross and Rachel getting back together. Less surprising than Taysom Hill.
Yeah. Which time?
Cassie,
getting back
that's
together.
the point.
Yeah.
Cassie, for your friend's person.
Yes.
See? Less surprising than Taysom Hill joining forces with Sean Payton, running into Jimmy out in Del Mar in July.
Yeah.
How about
ask Lance Moore? He did it.
How about the ending of the Titanic?
Yep.
Less surprising then Taysom Hill ending up in Denver.
Sinks every time.
Muse, you'll relate to this one. Smelling weed at Mardi Gras Parade? Less surprising.
Happens a lot.
Yeah, especially when you're around.
No, not me specifically,
Always.
but yeah, you'll smell it.
Our guy Gordon buying another billboard? Less surprising than Taysom Hill ending up in Denver.
I like that one.
Seeing Hulk Hogan get back up after a 2 count. Less surprising.
That's really good.
Less surprising.
That's the best one
Less
so
surprising. Then
far. I like that. The Hulkster kicks out at 2.5. Oh, man.
Oh, man. Musso naming his first kid after Wade Boggs.
That's okay.
Less surprising.
Wait.
Or would it have to be Nomar?
Omar, man.
Johnny Damon.
Damon.
See? Or is he Judas Damon to you?
It's past.
And the number one reason, less surprising than Taysom Hill in Denver, finding out Mickey Loomis orders juicy fruit in bulk. Now we need the music.
Yeah.
The music. The music at the end of the top 10 list.
Well, that's the thing. This isn't exactly that.
Just play something. Anything? Anything. Here it is. All right. We're wrapping up hour number 1. We're brought to you by Relief Windows. We didn't nail the dismount there, Muse. Maybe too much of your Mardi Gras weed smoking there, Panama Red. I see the clock. Panama Red. I'm paying attention, even if you aren't. All right, hour number 2 is coming up after Sports Center.
After further review.
We're brought to you by Parish Restoration, parishrestoration.com. Kill mold, remove odor. Have mold? Think you might. Parish Restoration. Jim Woodworth and the gang, they do an awesome job over at Parish Restoration. I've told you about Jim many times over the years. Great dude. Actually a veteran, Air Force veteran, who has spent his professional life in recovery and remediation. He was there in the recovery efforts post 9/11. Made his way back to the South for the BP oil spill. Now helps home and business owners every single day with Parish Restoration. So if you have mold or think you might, maybe you've got odor from smoke, like maybe you had a fire, pet odor, sweat odor. Maybe you own a gym or workout facility and you smell the sweat all the time. They come in, they dry fog it, kill all that stuff, smell clean and fresh. It's Parish Restoration. They can fog your home in half a day. ParishRestoration.com. Check them out online. Get your quote. ParishRestoration.com.